What's up, everybody? I want you guys to help me in acknowledging one of the best mentors I've met in my adult life, as well as honestly the guy I go to whenever I'm having thoughts of self-doubt myself. His name is DJ Plez. He also started a beautiful program with life coaching, which goes way deeper than your generic life coaching. Welcome, DJ Plez, man. How you doing
Hey,
today, brother?
what's up, brother? I'm good. Blessed. Thank you.
You're
Welcome,
very
everyone.
welcome. Yeah, man. So I think one of the things that I wanted to get across with this podcast kind of ties into the program that you offer people, which I just myself took the month program and I definitely learned a lot of very transferable skills, honestly, outside of what just therapy would teach me. What he does is he created a program called the Artist Immunity Blueprint. Now, me, myself, I am far from a musician. I don't really put out any types of music. I am a podcaster though, and I have suffered from mental illness, honestly, anxiety, depression, confidence issues my whole life. So I've been through therapy for the last 7 years, and whenever he messaged me and offered me a chance to try out his program, I really wanted to see, okay, hey, what's the difference with this and me meeting with just like my regular therapist? And to be honest with you guys, there's a lot of differences. His specialty really helps you get through the day-to-days, and especially if you're an artist and you're really focused on, dude, why aren't my results growing yet? Blah, 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 blah. And then you end up just saying F it and giving up because it feels like it's taking so much work that it's just not worth it. He teaches a lot of skills that helps you realize, okay, hey, maybe I'm moving an inch closer a day, but guess what? Moving an inch closer is better than not moving at all. And eventually I'm going to get there. And that's a lot of what his program helped me with. Now everyone's going to be different, but I can't recommend enough listening to this wise man who can maybe save you wasting some years of your life and help you figure
Thank
it
you.
out sooner.
Thank
Ain't no
you.
problem, man. Yeah, man. So I think today I want to kind of talk about one of the things that we did talk about whenever I was going through your program, and that is known as the Success Hangover. And I know I feel this a lot at work because I'm always trying to, reach these expectations of the company, reach expectations of myself. And sometimes even when I reach those goals, I waste so much of my mental energy at home thinking about work, how I'm going to get to that next step, that I don't really take pride in the moments and even like acknowledge my success. So one of the things that I have here that I wrote down, everyone talks about the hustle and the grind to get to the top, but no one talks about the psychological crash that often comes when we're really trying to, produce to that level, which a lot of times in the world you got to push yourself, but there's a healthy balance of sometimes pushing too far to where you have nothing else to give. So why does achieving what you want sometimes, even though you're achieving exactly what you said you're going to, it can still trigger that anxiety, that feeling of, okay, now what? Like, and sometimes it's hard for me, and I'm sure you're the same way, and a lot of people are, where it's hard to give yourself that pat on the back. It's like you just hit another goal, and guess what? Now you're creating another one, and it's like, when is enough going to be enough?
Right. That's a great question. And we live in that grind culture, that hustle culture where it doesn't allow you time to enjoy the moment of success. It tells you to keep hustling till you get there. And then it says, keep going. And so, myself, I'm just as, I'm a victim of it as well. It's happened to me many times. Prior to me creating this course and prior to me understanding the process, I would make a goal for myself, achieve it, and stand there like, well, I don't feel nothing, and then keep going, and I've done several case studies on social media, on Instagram, of famous artists like Doechii, Noah Kahan. They all have reached that epitome of success, right? Grammy nominations and getting accolades from Beyonce, and they felt empty. Like they felt like they didn't feel what they thought they were going to feel because of the training process of that hustle culture where it's not good enough. But what we have to do is we have to enjoy the process, and most people don't. Most people, you start at A and your goal is to get to B, and you're so focused about B, but that there's actually a process, and it usually is enjoyable getting there. And so what I recommend anyone who has these type of issues or goals in mind is to enjoy the process. And once you finally achieve that goal, stop, pause, enjoy that moment. A life coach that I've trained under, Aaron Doughty, taught me that you have to live in the moment. You have to enjoy that moment. And the only way to live in the moment is to be present. So if you achieve that goal and you've reached your success, pause, stop, live in that moment, enjoy it for as long as you want. You deserve it. And then once you have, fulfilled that goal or get that feeling of satisfaction from pausing, then you can resume maybe if you want to try another goal, but you have to make it realistic. We're not machines, even though the culture says we are.
No, I love a lot of what you said, man, because just for an example, I heard this saying once and it was like, when you're thinking in an anxious state, you're thinking too much about the future. When you're thinking in a depressive state, you're thinking too much about the past. So it's like you can focus on the future, you can focus on the past, but what matters is the steps you're taking right now in the present. Because if you set, a list of 5 or 10 goals that you want to achieve and you cross them off one by one, you'll see that, hey, these present moments are going to make my future be X, Y, or Z. And it's like me focusing on the past, while it's important for me to learn from maybe some mistakes I made in the past. If I sit around and dwell on it, that's doing nothing for my present, which in return, nothing for my present means nothing for my future. Then it's like you're never really going to get to where you want to go. But that's a big problem I have myself too, man. I work for a cellular company, as you know, and I won Winner Circle, which is top 5% of the company. And to be honest with you, like I still, even though like me from when I first started, I thought I would have won and felt absolutely amazing, and I did feel good. Don't get me wrong, but like as soon as I was done with the trip, it's back to square one. Like, oh my God, I got to prove
Hmm.
myself again. And I didn't really know how to give myself, hey, Dylan, you went from, being in the psych ward at 19 to being in the top 5% of $1 billion company. And it's just like, it's hard to give myself good job, Dylan. You know what I mean? It's like I always rely on other people to tell me good job for me to feel good instead of telling myself. And it's another thing that I learned from talking to you is, you have to figure out how to tell yourself good job and when it's time to relax, because you can be in that gung ho mode every second of your life, like I've done before, and then it's like fuck, shit hits the fan. I have to take a leave from work because I'm just mentally exhausting myself to the point where it's not actually helping me. If anything, it's hindering me. And I think a lot of people do that because we're always on that go 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 go. But then it's like you go 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 go. You blink, your life's over. It's like you never took time to appreciate the things that maybe weren't materialistic. Maybe that a job doesn't bring me like friends and family and impacts that I can have on other people that bring me more satisfaction than money. But we live in a world that is always in comparison. Like, oh my God, there's 22-year-olds on social media that are millionaires already and never have to work the rest of their life. I'm a loser because I'm not like that. Like, no. There's also 22-year-olds that have OD'd already,
Mm.
and have used drugs or are in prison or are doing this. So it's like you can use comparison sometimes to compare yourself to people your age, but at the same time, you're only in competition with who you are today and what you'll be tomorrow. Outside of that, it's very unhealthy to get obsessive with that, as I know myself because I've been there.
Yeah, I agree. Comparison is the thief of joy, the thief thing of all joy. I was just thinking of a different phrase when I was saying that.
No, I get it, bro. I word vomit all the
But
time.
yeah,
Part of the human process.
but yeah, I mean, when we compare ourselves, the number one thief, it steals all our joy because we're looking at other people. But you got to remember they're in different timelines in their life, and your timeline is not the same, and we don't realize that. Social media makes us believe that the gram and TikTok, when you see people's success, like that's their timeline is the same as yours. No, it's not. They may have been at it for 10 years and they just got their big break, whereas you just started. So you have to stop doing that. And another thing too, our egos get involved whenever our egos have no place in our heads, right? Because what it does is when you achieve that success, your ego sabotages it. That's why you said, when you achieve, which is a great accomplishment, coming from where you came from at 19 and being in the top five of a Fortune, $1 billion telecommunication company is huge. And your ego is probably like, because it wants to self sabotage that joyous moment. So
Yep.
we have to keep the ego out of those moments, out of it most of the time, because it's going to self sabotage. The ego, that's just what it is. It doesn't like change. It doesn't like new things. It doesn't like anything that takes the control from them. So if you keep that in mind, that, you keep your ego out of this, you're going to find that the next time you reach a goal or success, you're actually going to enjoy it for what it is and not what it's not, right?
No, and I love that, dude. And the last thing that I want to put that goes inside with this, because I remember I was probably 19 or 20 when I first started going to the gym, dude. And I would just go in the gym and I'd see all these dudes, benching 3, 4, 500 pounds, dude, just almost looking like a completely different species than myself, even though we're both obviously male. And it's like, well, after a year or two, I got to the thought process, okay, hey, I'm looking at this guy. Is he on steroids? Is he going home and dieting and meal prepping and putting on all kinds of work that I don't want to do? Has he been lifting since he was 12 and he's 42 now and has 30 years under his belt? That's where, like you said, why would I be someone who just started out at the gym feeling like crap because I don't look like this guy who's doing all these things that either I'm not willing to do or I just haven't had enough time to accomplish yet. And I'm sitting there and holding me in comparison with this guy and making myself depressed. What is the purpose of that logically? There's absolutely no purpose to that. It's just hindering me. So how I look at it now is like week to week. Am I doing better this week than last? If not, okay, I need to pivot. But I'm not going to sit there and see some dude who's benching 600 pounds, be like, Dylan, you're a fucking bitch because you can't do that. Like, that's how my brain used to talk to myself, though. And now, because I was able to take myself out of my brain and see from a logical perspective, it's like, again, what you said, the comparison's the thief of joy. And I know a lot of
It
people
is.
probably go to the gym, dude, and start, and they're like, oh my God, this guy's doing this person's doing that. I'll never be that. Whenever you start telling yourself that and you believe it, it might take away your enjoyment from the gym. And then guess what? 3 months later, you're quitting. First step with any of this is showing up, man. If you're one of those people out there that struggle to go to the gym, I hope you hear this. And remember, I'm 6'5". When I first started lifting, I was 147 pounds soaking wet. I couldn't even bench 100 pounds. And now the gym to me is like I wake up every morning and feel like I'm going to an amusement park, not just because of gains, but because of mental and what it does for me and the friendships I've made. I met DJ Plez at the gym,
Yeah.
and that's where I realized that me and him have a lot in common. It's everyone in a gym is opening up vulnerability wise.
Hmm.
And sometimes it just takes a couple people having the same mindset as you, and you'll see why the gym to me I'm sure he would agree, is one of the steps to really getting that process in your brain and feeling confident and feeling proud of yourself.
I agree. I agree.
That's awesome. Now, this next one, Plez, this is something that I just realized from my therapy session today. This is probably one of my biggest negatives in my life and what I struggle with. And I'm curious what you have to say. So, whenever I was a food server for many years, and now I work customer service, like a big part of my job is people pleasing. Like I have to get someone's buy in to want to buy something from me. Now, there gets a point with people pleasing that you give so much of yourself to please someone else. And then you're like, what am I doing with this? Whether it's a friendship, like an 80-20 friendship, an 80-20 relationship. Like, I just want this person to like me so bad that I'm willing to give away of myself X, Y, and Z. Then you get it and it just doesn't feel real. Or you're having problems like, hey, why doesn't this person do for me what I do for them? And I've run into that many points in my life. So one thing that I wrote down that it really hit me, it says, the exact moment you realize saying yes to everyone else is secretly saying no to yourself. So like that's one thing I had to learn, because I would have customers come in all the time, and I take a lot of pride in my customer service skills, but there comes times where I don't care who the person is on either side. Some people you can't make happy. And what I would
Hmm.
do is I'd go in the back and be like, man, I did X, Y, and Z like I do for everyone else. Why didn't this person show appreciation? Why didn't this person buy something? And then I would let it like build up in my head, like, fuck Dylan, you're a shitty salesperson. Fuck Dylan, you fucked up. You sounded stupid or whatever. And it's like, no, it's just some people, are just like that. And I don't care who it is. You're not going to make them happy. So I want to know, how do you deal with that in your life? Like the people pleasing aspect, and how do you draw that line to where, hey, this person, I've done X, Y, and Z for them. They ain't doing nothing for me. Me wanting to cut this person off isn't me being, a dick. This isn't me being cold. This isn't me being heartless, but this is me choosing to put myself and my emotions first.
Right. So first we have to set boundaries. And that's the number one problem with most people, is that they're people pleasers because they have not set boundaries, learning to say no. And in the music industry, we also have that problem because we say yes to every opportunity thinking it's going to be the next thing to get us where we need to be, like blow up or be famous. Right. And that doesn't, but the problem is that it's draining us. It's making us burn out. And sometimes we don't need it. So if you are able to create boundaries for friends, family, lovers, whatever, that is the start. Because once boundaries are set, then you're basically saying no to a lot of things that you normally wouldn't say no to. So that's step number one. Set boundaries, say no. And if that person gets upset over you saying no to them, then they weren't your friend. They were using you. And you finally woke up. And so now they don't want to have anything to do with you. So you move on, right? It might hurt, but you'll be okay. The second thing about people pleasing is, and you nailed it, you're not going to please everyone, period. As an artist, when we release music, we hope that everyone likes our songs. They don't. And I learned that, you know, in 2011 or maybe even earlier, that for every one person that doesn't like my song, I have 5 others that do. So I don't take that personal. And I also worked 20 years at a big telecommunication company, as you well know. And you're not going to make everyone happy, whether it's your boss, whether it's your coworkers, or whether it's the customer that you're dealing with right there. And it's okay, because you've done everything that you are supposed to do. You've provided them with the best customer service. So you process it and you let it go and you move on. And again, your circle of friends, they don't need to be that kind of people that you are always trying to please them, and that they are not happy when you change things up, right? When you change the situation up, and they notice that you're not saying, "Oh, well, why are you upset?" or what can I do to make you happy? No. No, you don't have to do that. You do have to come to a point where if your friends are draining your energy, then they're not your friends. And that's when you need to be selfish and say, you know what? I got to protect my peace. Nothing should interfere with That's your number one priority every day you wake up, is protecting your peace from everyone. That goes for girlfriends, spouses, friends, coworkers. Protect your peace. And that means if you have to remove yourself from that, then you have to do that, especially when it comes to friends. Like I had friends like that, like in 2020, 2021, I had so-called friends that I found that I only had use to them whenever they, wanted to go on trips and they needed me for something. Otherwise, they didn't talk to me, and they're not my friends anymore, because I don't have time for people that are just in the relationship, the friendship, just to use you. No, I need genuine people. So my circle of friends is very few. It's very few. And you'll find that as you grow older and as you continue to live your life, your circle is a small circle. It's not a big tribe like everyone says it is.
No, and that's one thing, dude. Like, I mean, the personal details, which I'm not going to get into, but I had a situation very similar to that myself, dude. And what's hard is you see all these TV shows. Like, I remember as a kid, I'd watch Friends, right? Man, I can't wait to be in my 20s and have a group of friends to go out to the bar with, and we all feel like family and this and that. And it's like, well, guess what? Like, as of right now, to be honest with you, Plez, I can count on one hand the amount of people that I even talk to on a regular basis. Like, I really don't. As of right now, I don't even have a friend really that I'd be like, "Hey, dude, let's go to the bar." Like, I don't even have that right now. And guess what? I've gotten to the point with my psychology and my mental health that I'm okay with that. I would rather have no one that I can hit up to right now and say, "Let's go do something," than have a friend or multiple friends that make me feel like I have to beg them to want to go out, or we make plans and they cancel on me, 30 minutes before, multiple times without any explanation other than, "Hey, I think I just want to sit home." You know what I mean? Then what I was letting that person and people do is, then I'm like, why don't these people like me? Why am I not getting the same love that I try to give other people? And it's like, maybe that person just doesn't have the capability of giving it. Maybe they're not as in touch with their emotions and what a real friendship is as me. And that is the conclusions I have now. Whereas before, I would just sit around and wonder what's wrong with myself. And it's like, you know what? I don't need friendships like that. I don't. Life's too short to have them. And it's like, I agree with you 100%. Now I'm to the point, and I learned from this situation, if I have a friendship that it's making me feel like, hey, this friendship's 80-20 all the time, and when I bring up what bothers me, you act like I'm a baby or my feelings don't matter, then guess what? Fuck you. It's okay if we're not friends anymore. You know what I mean? It's just, life's too short to have people like that make you value, okay, hey, what am I worth? Like, if a friendship's making you feel like that on a regular basis, it's probably not a good friendship. Real friends are there for you when you need them. And it's like how I see you and me, dude. We don't necessarily go out and do stuff, but I know if I need someone to talk to that's going to give me real ass advice and give a shit, it's you. You know what I mean? And I have a couple other people like that too. But most of my friends that I'm comfortable with like that aren't even my age. and it doesn't matter, dude. It's just that human connection, no matter what the age is, what the sex is, what the political views are. All that shit to me goes out the window when I realize you're an actual good person.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. And I'm glad that you realize that now.
No, you were a big part in that, bro. I mean that.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Between you and my boss both told me two separate stories that made me tie in together what I was going through. So I
Yeah.
appreciate it very, very much.
She's a good person. Yeah, she's a definitely. I know her.
No,
If
she
people
is.
are listening, I know her, and I've known her for years. So she is a rock solid person. The only I will say this is that, and we can move on to the next topic. When I did work for this telecommunication company, it was a union shop, so I saw the same guys, coworkers, for 20 years. So you develop friendships with them and you become really close like brothers. And you realize even in that dynamic that there are people that will drain your energy, people that you don't want to be around other than work because they drain your energy. And I found out like something to remember is that when somebody says something disrespectful to you, and then they turn around and like jokingly say they were just kidding or stuff. They said what they meant the first time. That let that land. When someone disrespects you and they say something hurtful or they attack you, and then they turn around and say, "Well, I was just joking," or maybe they even apologize. No, they meant what they said the first time. So you need to think about whether or not that person deserves to be in your life anymore, because they shouldn't say anything that they don't mean. And they're saying it to you and they mean it. So you have to make adjustments and remove people who are not filling your cup back up.
100%, bro. The other thing I've learned, a lot of people are really good with words. And like you said, they'll apologize afterwards. And then a week later, they'll say something fucked up again and go through that same motion. What I've learned is to take people's words with like just a little bit, because I don't give a fuck what you say. I need that to be followed by actions that prove it to me. And that is one of the biggest things I'm learning. Like, people can have all this word magic, make you feel good as shit, and then a week later make you feel like you're going to collapse again. Words are only what they are. It's a fucking word. Show by action. That's how you prove, to me at least, that you mean what you say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Good times, bro. So here's a good one. To be honest with you, I still sometimes, even though I work with people all day and I consider myself a social person, I definitely still struggle sometimes with social anxiety, especially at like big concerts and stuff like that. Looking sharp, performing well, hitting targets, and running the show on the outside while completely burning out, overthinking, and feeling like an imposter on the inside. So one of the big things I'll say is like me personally, right? I go to a concert, I see all these people around, and I just feel like, oh my God, it's like I'm back at work, all eyes on Dylan, produce, produce, produce. How do I get these people to like me? What is something that you tell yourself maybe in like big social situations that help you realize like, hey, I have confidence in who I am as a person. I don't care what anyone else around me thinks. I'm going to have a good time tonight. I'm going to dance. I don't care if I look stupid. I know who I am, like type things.
So yeah, so that's where the ego gets involved again, because it's trying to sabotage another good moment for you by, by saying that, that you shouldn't dance because you don't know how to dance, or saying any type of negative thing. So that's, again, you got to remove that. So what I do when I go into like those social type atmospheres, because I'm a wedding DJ as well, is that you build your confidence by telling yourself that you're good enough. You're good enough. I'm good enough. My DJ skills are good enough. I will make people dance because I know I can. And I go in there and I do just that. If you go into something like you said, you're going to dance all night. Yeah, there comes a point where you just have to stop caring about the little things. I know we're a very judgmental country, and everything's judge, 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 judge. Well, let them. If that's what they want, you have to be okay with yourself. In other words, you got to love yourself. You got to be all right with yourself, not to worry about what other people think, and when people say stuff about you, and if you show like a straight poker face, like, and they say, well, how can you just let that go? Well, you got to care first. And I have, over the years, I mean, I have my moments where I I slip and I let things bother me that should. But for the most part, I got to care about it enough. And I'm not, that all circles back to protecting your peace. You just can't let things pull away from that cup of peace and not refill it. And when you're worried about what people think of your dancing, or if you're worried about this, or if you're worried about that, and there really isn't any factual facts about it, then yeah, that doesn't belong there. That shouldn't even be in the equation. Again, that's for living in the moment, enjoying the moment that you have. If you're going out, have a good time, then enjoy that moment. Enjoy it. Don't worry about if you can't dance. Don't worry about what people might see, what shirt you have on or what color it is. Don't worry about that. Just worry about enjoying yourself, focused on the moment. And you'll find that, all of that stuff just alleviates, just alleviates you.
No, I love that, dude. One thing that I constantly have to remind myself in those situations, and this is what helped me overall get over the main roots of my social anxiety. I think I've said it before. I started off my career. I got hired at a steakhouse called Hoss's, and I waited on 2 or 3 people, and I was like, you know what, dude, I can't do this no more. So I told the boss that my anxiety was too bad. They made me a dishwasher. From me being a dishwasher, I started making friends with all the other people in the restaurant, and then a light bulb moment went off in my head for me. Hey, dude, if I can make friends with all these people in the restaurant, all these people that were just strangers to me a couple weeks ago, what's the difference between me feeling comfortable enough to talk and make impacts with them and that other customer that's just walking in the door? Or I'm at a concert venue. There's 100,000 people there. Guess what? That's 100,000 customers, just like I deal with at work every day. There's no difference between strangers like that. You know what I mean? And it really helped me just kind of realize that, hey, just how these people are just regular Joe Schmoes to me, that's all I am to them. If I bust out a stanky leg and make a fool of myself at a concert, guess what? If anything, I'm going to make people laugh. I'm going to make an impact. Am I going to look silly doing it? I 100% will. And I'll be real with you, bro. I am one of those people at concerts. Like, sometimes I do feel stiff and I'm afraid to dance. And like, I used to go to concerts, dude, and I would just sit there like a freaking stick. Now it's like, I'll go there and I'll be moving around with the crowd and everything, but I'm still working on getting myself to that point of, hey, this drop a fucking stanky leg and look goofy as shit just because I'm having a great time. I don't care what anyone around me thinks. I'm not hurting nobody. I'm just doing what I want to do in the moment, dude. And a lot of what you said with that is so true, because at the end of the day, when you're on your deathbed, do you want to have regrets? Oh, I didn't do this, and that, all because I was afraid of what someone else thought? No, fuck that, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Life's
Yeah.
too short for that. And anyone who thinks like that just for you having a good time where you're hurting no one else, their opinions aren't worth anything anyways, because they're
No.
probably scared to do it themselves.
When opinions come, again, we live in a judgmental country, US is horrible at it. Everything is judgmental, but something to tell yourself is like, if somebody has something to say about you, just tell yourself, is this person paying my bills? No. So what do I care? What do I care whether or not they don't like my shirt or they don't like the way I dance? I could care less. And you tell yourself, it's just a constant reminder, because, like you said, it's a work in progress. But anywhere I go, I don't let it doesn't even anymore. It doesn't even phase me. It's like, what? If somebody would even say something to me, I'll be like, really? Oh, okay. Thanks. I don't care. I don't want to put the energy into something that's not going to fill the cup back up. Right. Cause you're just depleting your energy when you're worried about that person and that person. And I get it. Social anxiety is difficult. It's tough. And that takes time to get better at it and not worry about those things. But if you think about what we've talked about, how important it is to focus on you and your well-being, and at the end of the day, it's how you feel and enjoying the moment, then whatever else.
The last thing I have to add to that, and I think you'll agree, I forget if you used this exact analogy before, but I see it as, okay, you're a soldier on the battlefield, right? When you start caring what those 100,000 people think, you're giving them all bullets to shoot you. If you're a soldier on the battlefield and you say, I don't give a fuck what those people think of me, guess what? You're not getting shot at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's like you're saying with the cup of water thing, dude. If you don't give people the power over you and you set up those boundaries in yourself, the voice in your head is just simply that. It's the voice in your head. 99% of the time with social anxiety, I've realized this myself, you're thinking everyone around you is thinking all these fucking thoughts about you, when guess what? They're only worried about their life. They're not even thinking those thoughts. you know?
Yes. It's
And
not
if they
real.
were,
Yeah. It's not real. Most of the time, our own imagination and overthinking is another thief of joy. If you overthink a lot, you're not happy because you're creating scenarios that don't exist. So yes, please keep that in mind.
yep. I agree with that, bro. Number one killer of happiness for myself was exactly that. And I'm thankful that I've learned how to stop myself in those tracks because at the end of the day, you're thinking about things that aren't even reality. So it's not helping you at all. It's only hindering.
That's right. That's right.
So this last one, my man, it kind of goes into what we talked about before to a degree. This is kind of like, whenever you go to high school, you have your basic friend group, and then you graduate high school 3, 4 years later, you barely talk to any of them. I only talk to one person on a regular basis that I even went to high school with. So this one's called the friend group audit. Outgrowing people versus abandoning, which I'll tell you the truth with me, with friendships, with anything, I always cling on until it's like, what I want to say, like kind of like I always put myself, like I overanalyze so much that no matter what the situation, and I'm like, okay, what could I have done differently to make this person respond better? What could I have done to not piss this person off? Blah, 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 blah. When it's like, that is the epitome of what we just talked about with overthinking, overanalyzing. It's like sometimes there's nothing else that I had to do differently. It's something that they needed to match my energy. That's the problem. It's not I'm the problem. You can't always think that it's you. So with that it's like as you level up your career, your mindset, you get a house, you get a car, you get new jobs, you're going to have two types of people. You're going to have people around you that are like, "Hey Dylan, I'm so fucking proud of you, dude. I know how far you came. You fully deserve this." You're going to have someone else be jealous of you and like you'll tell them, "Hey, I'm going to start making a podcast episode." And then they're just like, "That's cool." No, "Hey, good job, buddy. I'll make sure I tune in." Doesn't give you that support. But when it's them achieving something, they act like you should bend over and worship them like they're a fucking god. And I've
Yeah.
met so many people like that. So as you level up your career, your mindset, your personal life, there's an inevitable friction with the people around you. How do you personally handle outgrowing, say, previous friendships you had, dealing with the grief of the loss of the friendships, and recognizing when loyalty to those wrong types of people are kind of keeping you stuck?
Yeah. So, high school teaches us social skills. And then when we leave high school, we usually don't even talk to those people ever again. And then we go into the world and we're meeting coworkers that may turn out to be friends. As I mentioned to you, my 20 years there at the telecommunication company, I forged really close friendships with these people. And a lot of them I would consider my friends. But there were some that changed over time and they forced me to stop dealing with them because of the things they said, their bad behavior and their background. And it wasn't easy and it was uncomfortable, but the other part of that is friends that no longer serve me. It goes back to those ones where I thought were my friends where we used to go vacation together, but the reality was that they weren't. And I knew these people for years, like over 10 years. And I thought they were in my corner, but they never were. And that was hurtful. But I realized that they were just keeping me stuck. They didn't want to see me grow. They didn't want to see me do anything other than what they were doing. And they got jealous the moment I did something different. And so, yeah, we had fallen outs, arguments, and never spoke to again. I mean, some have come back to me and apologized, but I'm not their friend because they weren't mine to begin with. So it's, it's just like anything, any type of pain, you have to mourn a loss. It will reside and you will get past it. You will get over it. You will move on. You will learn your lessons. Some are life lessons, some are seasonal lessons, some are repetition, depending on which that falls into that category. But I don't regret cutting them off. I don't regret walking away. I'm in a much better place now. I think if I still would be around them, I would have never did the artist immunity blueprint. I would have never pushed myself to be better. So that's how you deal with it by focusing on you and understanding that your interests are the most important. Nobody is going to take better care of you than you. And if you see that these so-called friends are not praising you the way you should be praised for your growth, then they are not your friends. They are observers and they're just watching you to bring you down. So you have to say, I don't want that kind of draining energy in my life. I need people who are uplift, who build up. who understand, who relate. And you may not have any of them right now, but that's okay, because riding solo, you get to know yourself better. You get to grow as a person and then know what you want in friends, and you're able to see it. You're able to see it, and your energy shifts, because a lot of times you align with people because your energy's that way, good, bad, or indifferent.
No,
So,
I love all of that, bro. And that's the thing that's always happened with me, whether it be friendships or relationships, kind of like I said with the last question, dude, I would do so much self-reflecting on just like the thoughts of anything bad they did. Like it was hard for me to fully take like, okay, hey, this person just might be a bad person, or this person might just not be able to give me X, Y, and Z. And instead of me actually logically thinking like, hey, this person's the issue, I know they're the issue, I would always self-reflect on myself to the point where I would make everything my problem with every single person, whether it be a customer, friendship, relationship, whatever. And that's where I think a lot of what you talk about with periods of silence and getting to know yourself and getting that confidence to where you're not necessarily being egotistical or cocky in the sense of like, hey, I'm okay without any friends. Hey, I'm okay without a partner. Because you get that value in yourself and you know yourself enough to know that you're not going to settle for less than. And I'm 31 years old and I still struggle with that, to be real with everybody. But like, guess what? I'm actively working on it. And that is the big part that I think a lot of people, they go through their whole lives either just being a walking mat or just accepting things in their life. And it's like, life is too short for that. And it all goes back to, with me, is having a comfortable talk track, whether it be with friends, partners, whatever, where, hey, for the last couple of weeks, I feel like this relationship's been 70-30. And if they're willing to listen to you, take what you say they're doing wrong and make an impact to still be in your life, in my opinion, that person's still worthy. But if you have to keep mentioning that on a weekly basis for these people to take action to make you, not feel so indifferent, at some point, life's too short for that. Get them the fuck out of your life. And yeah, it hurts. It hurts at first. And then you start to realize, man, why did I deal with that shit for so long? Why did I let that person so deep into my brain to make me feel all these thoughts? And then I realized, like, I'm the one that gave this person that power. And now for you to get into my brain on that kind of a level, you have to prove yourself to me for me to give that vulnerability. And if not, I'm done giving it to just the random person I see at Walmart who might look at me funny, because that was the old way I was. And when you walk around and you just let people into that place in your mind that easily, you're asking for trouble. And I'm thankful you're a big reason that I've learned my value in this, man.
you're welcome, man. I'm glad I was able to help you, for sure.
No, big time, bro. So I would like to spend our last couple minutes. You kind of maybe give a better idea of how not just artists, but people like myself that are just, trying to get through their lives and crave tools to get through this, because you can sit around and watch TV, fill your mind with social media all day, and you're never going to find these tools. And I'm so thankful that between you and therapy, I've realized that no matter how negative you feel in your life, no matter how depressed, no matter how hopeless you feel, you can make the changes. You're the only person in the world that can change your life. And thankfully, there are tools out there, and you don't even need insurance. Like, to see a therapist, maybe you do. To have the same kind of situation that I had with Ples, you don't. And let me tell you, if you go out and you spend money on drinks every day, 40, $50, by the end of the month, dude, you're spending $600-$700 on it. Why
Yeah.
not spend money on something that is going to better yourself? Weed, alcohol, all that shit. Yeah, it makes you feel good in the moment, but guess what? The next day you got to do it again. You got to do it again. When you
Yeah.
learn mental health skills, like the kind of stuff he teaches, this is something you have with you till the day you die. Like, he's not Jesus. He's not going to cure all your sins and save your sins, but he's going to be able to show you, okay, hey, my girlfriend just left me. Yes, that sucks. Here's why it happened. Here's how I'm going to get through it and bounce back. Hey, this friendship of 10 years just ended. This person made me feel like X, Y, and Z. This is why X, Y, and Z doesn't matter. Here's what you're going to do to bounce back from it. So I'll let you take the floor now, brother. I just wanted to hype it up a little bit because everything I just said is true. And again, this program helps you on a different kind of level than just regular therapy, and especially if you're an artist. All right, take it
Yeah.
away.
Thank you.
You're welcome,
Absolutely.
my
Yeah. The
man.
artist immunity blueprint is catered toward music artists because that was my choice. I'm an artist. I'm a DJ. I'm a musician, but it applies to any creative in the space. It does apply to athletes. It applies to telecommunication workers, people who are trying to operate from a place of calm than a place of chaos. I have 3 different programs, a 30-day, a 45-day, and a 90-day immersion program. And each one does something a little different. The 30-day comes with some PDFs, like a boundary PDF that helps you set boundaries, some affirmation audios that I've created, some other journals that you can utilize. But with the nervous system reset, that's the 30-day. We reset your nervous system. We get you back to where you were before all the stress began. And I've done you, and I've done several artists. One in particular who is a recovering meth addict, and he was going through some bad stuff, and he actually stopped doing music altogether. And I got him in 30 days back to being in the studio. He got away from the toxic relationship. Yeah, I'm really proud of that one. He really flipped it and did exactly what the program says. So if you're feeling a certain kind of way, if you're feeling like you're burnt out, you can, feel free to reach out to me. You can go to home.artistimmunityblueprint.com, and we can book a free consultation and talk about it. But my course, again, is catered toward artists, but it applies to anyone who is trying to, stay grounded and protect their peace.
No, I think that's beautifully put, dude. Again, aside from podcasting and being an entertainer just with my customers at work and trying to, make people laugh and smile, I'm by no means an artist myself. And I think the big thing is me speaking from a non-artist perspective is just like, we're all human beings at the end of the day. All of our brains are different. All of our wants and likes and stuff are different. But the root parts of our brain, in the sense of just wanting to feel a sense of belonging, a sense of confidence, like so much of that is very general, and the steps and the affirmations you have to tell yourself to get there. And I just feel like your program really helps. I don't want to say dumb it down, but kind of dumb it down, because it's so easy to just listen to everything at your head at once. And when you lay it down and you separate and look at them like one by one instead of all at once, it really makes it easier to get that control back over your life.
Yeah, thank you. I tried to make it as easy. I didn't want it to be super complex. And you were a perfect case study where, you were feeling a certain kind of way coming in, and then coming out, you were a lot different, helping reset your nervous system. So that way you're not so hard on yourself, and you're not, beating yourself up the way you are, and understanding the circumstances. So, yeah, I encourage anyone to reach out, and, we can have a conversation, because it will help you regardless if you're a musician or not. If you're creative, it's definitely going to help you. But even if you're not, it's still going to put you in a place where you're grounded.
No, 100%, man. And again, if you've already been through mental health therapy, I myself went through it for 7 years. Sometimes just listening to someone from maybe like not so much of a doctor perspective, just like a fellow human being who is very educated on what he's talking about, but can maybe offer some different perspectives outside of just like what they teach in therapist school or whatever, you know what I mean? Because the first step in any of this, obviously, is admitting you have a problem. And I just want to say to any of my listeners out there that go to therapy, or even if you don't go to therapy and you're just starting to have the confidence to talk about your emotions to friends, coworkers, whatever, don't let that shit build up in your head. It's not 1950 anymore. The resources are out there where you can get help. And just know that me and Plez are all for that, whether you choose his program or someone else's. The biggest thing, if we ever want to see our world be semi-normal, in my opinion, is people going through therapy, life coaching, stuff like that, and getting out of your head and into your life, man. So I appreciate the chance for me to take your program, and I want to make sure that everyone else knows how much help it can be. And I also want to very much thank you for coming on my episode today. You reached
Welcome.
out to
Yep.
me a couple days ago, because a lot of times I let life get to me, and then I just get off work and I vegetate, and I don't fucking I just go to work, go through the motions, go to the gym, and I'm not making time to do stuff I want. And like I said, from day one with this podcast, I may never make money off of it. I may never make enough money, to be able to not have to work anymore. But if I die tomorrow, I know with these podcast episodes, I'm leaving a impact where if I could save one person's life or make one person think differently about going to therapy and getting that help, dude, that's all I can ask for in this lifetime. So I appreciate you for being a part of it, bro. And
Absolutely.
I look forward to. I know you probably already figured this, but I'm gonna definitely have you back on again, bro, because you're one of my favorite people to talk to. Because I feel like even though we're different ages, different backgrounds, dude, we have a lot in common, and it means the world to me for you to come on here and speak your mind, brother.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. And I look forward to our next meetup. But, I'll see you as I always do. And we talk text wise. We stay in touch. So no doubt we'll do our thing. All right.
No, hell yeah, bro. Like I said, you're at the top of my circle, even though we don't go out and do stuff. You're someone that I know has my back and I can trust and confide in, and that means the fucking world to me. And no, I feel the same about you, bro. So for everyone who chose to listen to us today, I very much appreciate it. If you
Thank you.
want to ever think about going to Plez for his life coaching, I'll make sure I'll have his link on my Facebook page. I'll also put it on YouTube when I get it out there. And just from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you guys for taking the time to listen. And I hope that you think what me and him are talking about are worthy of being on your feed. And that's basically my goal with this, is just to get some actual life lessons and some good vibes out there with all the negativity in the world today. And just remember, you are in control and you can take the steps to be where you want. First step is action and admitting the problems. Love you guys. Hope you all have a good day. For now, the dopamine dealer is out.
Out.